What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like what you see on these videos, awesome, hit the like button, as well as comment below on any video to watch, including this one. So, I haven't done a flashback review in quite a while. It's been really busy, to be fairly honest. The flashback movies are a lot of fun to do, but they tend to take a backseat when it comes to newer movies and whatnot. But every once in a while, a movie comes along that I'm like, I have to talk about this movie. And it was a few months ago that I brought this movie up to a certain individual. And we started talking about this movie and really excited to talk about it. And I am like, do you want to come on to my video YouTube channel and talk about it? And with that said, I'm really excited because, as you know, this person is well loved and well respected in the YouTube community for specific reasons of awesome trivia content and whatnot. And so with further ado, I'm introducing Trivial Theater. What's going on, Triv?
Hey, how's it going? It's great to be back and talk about this movie that is such an incredible piece of superhero history and one of the best comic book out there movies hands down.
Exactly. And of course, if I haven't mentioned it already, that movie, of course, is 1999's Mystery Men. Mystery Men is an interesting movie because it came out, as you know, Triv, like it was literally about a year before X-Men, the original X-Men came out. So it was in this time period that Blade was literally, outside of like Superman and Batman, of course, was literally the biggest film in a superhero genre. So to have a film like this come out was kind of exciting because, you know, if you know anything about it, it has a stacked cast and it has a director that was trying to prove their worth in the film industry. And it's really interesting to kind of sit down and talk about it because, as you're aware, this movie is a very unique, weird movie, but in its nutshell, it's a very awesome, very full of heart superhero movie. And did you see this movie in the theater? Did you watch it when you...
You know, honestly, I think I did. I don't honestly remember where the first time it was. It's kind of like going outside and seeing the sun. You don't remember when you first saw it, but you know your life is better because you saw it.
Right. It's weird, too, because I remember this movie in its production phase. I also kind of gained a little information by reading, like, Wikipedia and stuff like that. Because, you know, Wikipedia is always reliable when it comes to nothingness. But this movie, it has an interesting back history because what I was reading about is Danny DeVito, who, of course, played the Penguin in the original Batman movie, or Batman Returns. He was set up to direct and star in this movie, which was based off Bob Burden's Flaming Carrot comics series.
That's so appropriate. I can't even go there.
Exactly. But this movie was it was basically in development hell for quite a while. You know, superhero comic books movies, as you're aware, were not taken seriously at this time, and it's really hard to explain how exactly this movie truly came to be. I don't know. Like, when you think about movies, especially superhero movies today, and you go back and watch this movie, it has its own uniqueness to it. It has its own place of being. It's like its own weird Watchmen style movie that just kind of completely takes over and has weird characters and has almost like insane nature to its product, but it's a very likable movie. And I mean, when you sit down and I'm assuming you've watched this movie in the last few days now.
Oh yeah, a couple times actually.
Like, after taking it back in and after watching it, like, how do you feel about this movie? Like, what is your overall impression of, does this movie stand the test of time? Does it feel like it belongs in the superhero universe? Like, it's such a weird movie, but it's such a great movie. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Oh, it's totally hard to explain because it does. It kind of has. I feel like it's kind of a spiritual success or spiritual, I guess, grandfather of like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, it has that really goofy, funny, kind of quippy part of itself, but there is a lot of heart, and they fight like family at a lot of times. And I don't know, I guess you could say it has Suicide Squad, you know, origins as well, kind of, because you have that group that is so dysfunctional on every level, but at their heart of hearts, they're good.
Right.
I think you can also look like Captain Amazing being such a dick, you know, and the sponsorship thing and all of those aspects. I think it did precurse what we have in modern superhero movies in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, you actually look at Captain Amazing, and he's like a precursor. I don't know if you've seen The Boys, but he's a precursor to
Was it Homelander?
Yeah, Homelander. Yeah, because Homelander is a complete douchebag, but Captain Amazing won't go around killing people out of spite. But Captain Amazing in this movie is literally a NASCAR driver, or he just has like you said, product placement all over his body. And he gets mad when Pepsi like said we're not signing you anymore.
Right, exactly.
So,
and I mean that whole thing, I mean, you look at, and not so much obviously in the superhero universe, but like product placement with superheroes, and obviously, I mean, you go back to, I don't know if you can say it so much of like the 70s Superman, but you go to like to the 80s with Batman, the amount of product placement that came down with all of that stuff.
right.
You know, that corporate not interference, but that corporate aspect of it was alive and well even then. You know, that there's a lot of things that you can look at, you know, with Mystery Men and say, wow, there's a lot of stuff that you can relate to that. So
Exactly. And it's also funny too because this movie was originally after Danny DeVito. I've actually read this article before, but Danny DeVito passed on this whole entire project because of something to do with the soundtrack or whatever. He wanted specific things, and they offered the movie because Ben Stiller had done like what's that movie? The one with there was like a Reality Bites. That's what it was, Reality Bites. And they liked him. He had done the Ben Stiller show and stuff like that. And they offered him to rewrite the script and direct it. And he's like, no, no, I'm not doing that. And it took Janeane Garofalo, who had some issues with Ben Stiller, like when he was working, she was working on Reality Bites, but we're good friends, to at least have him come in and play the Mr. Furious, as he's called,
yeah.
I guess you could say. So,
well, I was looking behind the scenes, and it was interesting that there was actually quite a lot of strife that went on behind the scenes. And like the two things that were brought up that I saw, they fought constantly over the comedic tone of the film. And I guess you've got so many different comedic voices. I'm sure there's probably quite a few things of, you know, what is comedy in that respect. And apparently Ben Stiller actually wanted out of his contract because him and Greg Kinnear had it words.
Oh my God. I think I've told you this story before, but I was doing the Warner Brothers VIP tour, and I went to use the bathroom, and Greg Kinnear was in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
It was not like I said, "Hey, Greg Kinnear, I love you." That's a nice pee job you're doing right there. But he didn't seem like a too friendly of a guy. But Ben Stiller is supposed to be a very difficult individual when it comes to his directing and his acting. So it might be mostly part of his fault as well as Greg Kinnear. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. Actually, I never knew it got that bad. I know a lot of people came on because of, you know, like people like Ben Stiller and Geoffrey Rush coming on. But the weird thing about this movie is, like I said, at the time superhero movies were coming out, they would bring in directors that were of the commercial and music video fame, as you're probably aware, like David Fincher and stuff that. And so they brought in this director named Kinka Usher, who is an individual who did a lot of commercial work. And it was his first project, and it was his last project working on a film. And
what does that tell you about the background of the film if he did the first thing and the last thing?
Not much at all. It just tells you how shitty it was. But I think what this movie's problem ended up becoming is like Dark City. I think it was way ahead of its time for characters and superheroes and the uniqueness of what superheroes are. And Dark City was the same way. It came at a time where it was right before The Matrix came out, so it was just a weird, different film. But I was actually surprised that a lot of people don't like this film as much as like you or I, because
really,
yeah, it's got like a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty crazy. But
yeah, agreed. That is for the. And I guess maybe it takes a certain level of watching to really look at this and say, like there's so many quippy little jokes, like we had talked about it earlier, you know, let's triangulate, and then the spleen says, you know, isosceles or equilateral. I mean, there's so many random, goofy little jokes like that, and if you blink, you miss them kind of things.
Right. There's a one where it's like, what's it, the shoveler goes, "Spleen, I will not stand behind you, but I will stand next to you." And I'm like, that's the kind of stuff you hear in this movie that just makes it unique and special. It's childish, it's goofy. You have a bad guy that has a fingernail that like that's his main superpower is his little fingernail, whatever. And it's just like that's just this movie in a nutshell. You know, I was also looking. Like, it's amazing this movie bombed as bad as it did because it also had the problem of coming out in the summer instead of coming out in, like, September. So that was probably another issue, but it cost $68 million, which is very tame against, you know, superhero movies today, but it grossed $33 million worldwide, which is a box office bomb, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. Like, for instance, the cast and I was looking at, like, the cinematographer for the guy who does the DP for this movie, did stuff like Apocalypse Now and Rumblefish and The Outsiders and Untouchables, Carlito's Way, the amazingly underrated Shadow movie, which
that's a great movie.
But then he did stuff like Mission to Mars. So.
Well, Mission to Mars came out in what, 98? Or 2002
yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it's produced by Lawrence Gordon, who produced Die Hard and, you know, Another 48 Hours and Boogie Nights and Event Horizon, and I don't get it. But this cast is insane. It is. You got Ben Stiller, of course, who is actually not even considered the lead in this movie because it's all like a ensemble cast. But you have Hank Azaria as Blue Raja, William H. Macy as the Shoveler. You end up, and then they're the main three members of the original cast that comes in. You have Kel Mitchell, who is kind of gone to obscurity, but he plays Invisible Boy, and he actually has like the greatest superhero power that nobody will be able to see.
I love that so much.
Exactly. Yeah, Paul Reubens, who's just coming off his day in the porn house, so he's finally getting his little comeback, and he's playing the Spleen.
I will say, seeing him like in this, I think when I went in, I didn't expect to see him, because when I saw him, I about shit a brick, because it's like, oh my god, what is he doing here? Because it was right around that time where he was having all of those things, and I mean, not that it's Harvey Weinstein level bad, but it is still a gasp. This is a child's entertainer, and what's going on?
The questions of him and child entertainment is very strange to me with him playing Pee Wee Herman, but it just I don't know, but then you have like the other last cast member that comes in as this mystery men group, and that is of course Janeane Garofalo, who plays the bowler, who has the skull of her dead father in her bowling ball, which is very, very strange and very, I don't know how to talk about it, because it's like she talks about her father fell down an elevator shaft on a bunch of bullets, so he was like killed in a very disturbing way and stuff like that. And the cast itself are full of misfits. They're full of people that have really weird, really crazy, strange, like not even superpowers, but are just superheroes, similar to Kick-Ass in a lot of ways.
That's actually a good way to put it. I mean, you're kind of in that world of where, and this isn't probably the right way to say it, but where anyone can be a superhero, everybody is a superhero, you know? Like, it's not even thought of as, like, you got the like Tony P and Tony C, and the fact that their superpower is basically just guns, you know? They're gangsters basically, but they're stuck in the disco era.
And that's what I was going to get to in a second, but you also have Wes Studi, who comes in to play Sphinx, and Wes Studi is a very famous actor who was I think he was in like Dances with Wolves, and of course one of my friends who's very much in love with the Street Fighter movie, he would played one of the characters in Street Fighter, and then you have Tom Waits, who plays the scientist Doc Heller.
Yeah, Doc Heller is awesome.
Yeah, because he's like, I create weapons that are non-lethal, and they're like orgasm gun and like people turning on against each other, and
the blame gun is great, the tornado in a can, and he has a weird love of both chickens, and he goes prowling for at the nursing home, which in itself, that whole scene is just
oh my god.
Just such a weird mix of like oh wow, these are some hip hop and old folks, and then on the other side you've got like bedpans, and like the bar is stocked with, you know, pills and powders and shit.
Oh god. The thing that's funny about this movie is it doesn't seem unnatural that you would have somebody like Tom Waits in this movie just because of how strange Tom Waits is to begin with, but how weird this movie is. This movie is on a level of like, I want to say like, your Batman movie, the Tim Burton Batman movie, where the world itself is has a very weird Dark City Batman vibe to it with the cityscapes and the costuming and the cars and stuff like that, which is a really fascinating thing when you think about it. It's just a really, really cool thing to look at, but it has that feel of just, not what superheroes are right now with, great looking costumes, expensive set pieces and stuff. So
Oh, there's a fun line about the set pieces. So apparently a bunch of those were used in the 95 Batman movie. A lot of the same sets were used. So I think that's just like, if that doesn't tell you what you need to know about this movie, I'm not sure what does. It's a movie without an era. Obviously it's kind of pre-cell phone because it came out in 99 and obviously cell phones were around, but like you've got the shoveler's, like his home is stuck in the 50s. It's got like the gigantic pool and the artificial grass and just the whole place. Just you totally step out of the 50s. And the Blue Raja, his mom's place is Victorian level. And I mean it's such a weird mix of just it's like it just threw everything possible in a blender and then you get this movie. Elements of The Incredibles, there's elements of Tim Burton's Batman, there's a little bit of everything.
And you want to hear something funny about William H. Macy? If you go back and look at his career in the 90s, and I think even 2000 with, I think it was the Gambler? There was the Cooler. The dude has wife problems throughout the 90s, especially if you look at Fargo and Boogie Nights.
Oh, totally.
And I'm sure there's another one I'm forgetting, but the dude has wife problems. Like his wife in this movie is an asshole. Excuse my language, but she is an asshole. And he feels like the kind of guy that gets respect from his kids, but he's like Stephen Root in Dodgeball, where his wife just doesn't have any respect for him. And he's actually, to me personally, the leader of the group because he has the most powering nature to him, and he has the most will to be a crime fighter, and he has the sophistication that he's able to use the shovel in a way like Batman in a lot of respect.
Oh, agreed.
I don't know. Yeah, but
I think too, so he also does the best, I guess, he does the motivational speaking, like he pulls out it's honestly, it's such a cheesy scene, but it's so great, where he has like this egg salad sandwich, and it's right before they go into battle, and he holds it up and he goes, "There is so much fat in this sandwich, and if I eat it, I am going to eventually die because my doctor says that I shouldn't have it." And he holds it up, and it's just dripping mayonnaise and egg, and it looks so nasty. But
it's so funny.
He's like, so "Are we gonna go fight, or am I gonna eat this sandwich?" And it's just like, because the world is basically gonna end if they don't. I mean, it's a death space laser thing, and if they don't do the thing, the world's going to end. So it's either eat the sandwich or save the day.
It's so good. There are so many good lines in here. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
And then of course Ben Stiller has his his meet cute in the movie where he meets Claire Forlani, who is like the waitress, and she of course was in Mallrats, where she's most known for. But that whole storyline, I'm like either here or there with that whole storyline. But it's funny because when she gets kidnapped and Ben Stiller as Mr. Furious is trying to like crawl up like a mouse up the side of the wall, and the Blue Raja has to throw those forks at the wall for him to go up and stuff like that. But in this movie, like the only character that has true superhero powers is Greg Kinnear, who plays Captain Amazing, Lance Hunt. And he has some of the funniest lines when it comes to the fact that he's playing like a Superman or the character from Watchmen, where he's like, "Oh, I'm Lance Hunt, but I know Captain Amazing," and they all fall for it. But Geoffrey Rush's character knows who he is, and I love his character because he's such an a-hole.
Oh, he is,
and
totally.
He knows he's an a-hole. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care at all. He's like, especially when near the end of the movie, and they're trying to save him, and they're like, how many times do I flip the switch? And he's like, "You're an idiot. I don't care. Just flip the stupid switch." And has one of the most amazing death scenes I've ever seen in a movie in my entire life. It's
pretty
incredible.
good. It's pretty good.
Like the woman from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Well, and even the whole talking about the glasses thing, because he's basically, from an outward appearance, he's basically Superman as far as like the power structure, and he wears glasses, but he's a billionaire, so he's kind of a combination, I guess. But like they have this big argument about the fact that there's no way that he could be Lance because he has glasses, and if you took off the glasses, how could he see? it's such a goofy thing, but I mean they bring up stuff like that is such traditionally such tropes when you're talking about superheroes.
Exactly. That's always been my biggest problem with Superman. It's like you have these people that are super smart, like I don't know, the Perry White at the Daily Planet, or anybody on the street, and they're like the 6'4" tall, however tall Superman is in the stories, or Christopher Reeve was, or like you have this tall dude, very muscular, who comes into the Daily Planet. All the difference is he's not wearing glasses and he has a little curly Q in his hair. And that's all you need. It's like, it's amazing, but it's so ridiculous. And that's why I don't like the Superman character. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I never have been a Superman fan. And it's just because of how ridiculous it is.
Sacrilege! Sacrilege!
I know, right? Trust me. I get a lot of hate for that sometimes. But I also wanted to throw out, I don't know what happens to him, but Captain Amazing's publicist is acted by Ricky Jay, who is a fantastic magician, comedian, actor who's been like in a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. He's well known for his magic, but he just has the unfortunate nature of having to deal with Greg Kinnear's insulting nature of why did Pepsi get rid of me and all this good stuff. So he
says, "I'm a publicist, not a magician." And the fact that he's actually a magician, that's a little meta, but
yeah. No, he unfortunately passed away, but he was a extremely well respected magician, a respected actor. He showed up in a lot of like independent films and whatnot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But that's like the main lead cast. Is there one particular, my favorite character will always be, God, now I have to think about this. Probably the Ben Stiller or Hank Azaria character, because one, I'm a huge Hank Azaria fan from even the early days of The Simpsons and Mad About You. But he's he's a character that he's afraid to be who he is, and the fact that his mom, like after he tells his mom that he's like this English guy who throws cutlery and stuff like that, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you," and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's so incredible. But West Studi as Sphinx is awesome as well. But do you have a favorite of the heroes?
Well, as of the original three, I agree. I think Blue Raja is my go-to as a favorite, just because he's awkward and a little weird, and I feel like if I ever had superpowers or had a unique ability that would work in a superhero-based society, it would probably be throwing spoons or forks. And as far as the extended ones, I don't know. For some reason, the spleen always stood out to me as just something kind of funky and fun. Not personally to relate.
No.
Oh man. But yeah, I guess just because it struck me so hard when I first saw Paul Reubens as the spleen. It always stuck with me. It's one of the first things I think of when I think of Mystery Men. So mainly Blue Raja, but I suppose with an assist from the spleen, even though that's terrible acne, and I don't even want to think about that. But the other thing is too, I think and it's so stupid, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Invisible Boy and the spleen are standing there, and all of a sudden a skunk comes up and it starts humping his leg, and he's like,
"Go with it."
Yeah, exactly.
And Kel Mitchell's just doing the bobbing head. He's like, "Ooh."
And then the moon is in the background, and they're all just like, they're silhouetted against this gigantic moon, and the skunk is sitting there humping away. It's such a weird scene.
It's so good. It's so funny. It's the weird nature of this film that makes it so. It's just like, yep. All right, we're just gonna go there. Sure, why not?
Oh, definitely. Well, what else can you do?
Exactly. So the villains are, as you're aware, the villains in this movie are stacked with cameos. We'll leave Geoffrey Rush for a second. Lena Olin, I think, plays his right hand man or something like that. She's actually not really much in it, but you have. I told you in a text. I said when you have Tom Waits and Eddie Izzard in a movie together, you have something special.
Oh yeah, without
And
doubt.
Eddie Izzard, of course, plays Tom P or Tom Papador, the leader of Disco Boys. And they have like the most substantial role in the movie outside of Geoffrey Rush's character. Not only do you have Eddie Izzard, but you have Artie Lange, who plays Big Red in the movie. I
Oh,
think he
that's
plays
so
the guy
cool.
with the
He's
I think he's like the guy with the
Red-Eyed Gang, the head of the Red-Eyed Gang.
yeah. You have the Goody Mob, who plays the not so Goody Mob in
And that's
this movie.
hilarious.
Yeah, so you have like what's his name? CeeLo Green, Big Gip, and Timo, and they have like they're just in this movie. It's just like this is the weird thing about this movie and what makes it so strange, bogglingly weird that this movie was so unsuccessful is, like I said, you have all these people, and then on top of that, you have Michael Bay as the head of the frat boys.
Was he? Oh my god, I
Yeah.
didn't even notice.
He apparently, I read this article about him that was from 99 or 2000 or whatever, where he talks about how because he's a director, he would get frustrated with his performance because he was brought in for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but he got upset at Kinka Usher, the director, about how the lens that he was using for the film and how he kept screwing up his line. He was getting pissed off, and I'm like, it's so weird. I don't get how this movie failed like it did. It's because it's weird, I guess. I mean, but
I don't think people were ready for it. And that sounds
I
like a
guess.
dumb thing, but you're talking about a time in history. I mean, you had Blade, which was a very rated R movie,
Yeah.
and then before that you had the last two of that for that time Batman movies, and they were so
yeah.
goofy. And this struck that weird middle ground, I think. Like it had too
Right.
much seriousness to be considered, Schumacher level goofy, but it had too much humor to be considered, hardcore, Blade level awesome. There was
Right.
like I say, it at least in my mind, it really strikes that chord of like Kick-Ass or well, like I guess you said Kick-Ass, but like Guardians of the Galaxy level, where it has heart, but it has a lot of funny as well. And
Right.
I mean, there wasn't the call for superhero movies. Had it come out 5 years later, maybe things would have been different. I don't know. It's such a unique movie. I think it falls into that trap of, the way movies sometimes do.
Okay, so the writer for this movie, and this is pretty crazy, did an episode of St. Elsewhere. He developed something called Washington. He wrote Return of the Swamp Thing. Then he wrote Hocus Pocus.
Oh, interesting.
And then Mystery Men. And then the career fall off point for Ron Underwood, who directed City Slickers. He wrote Adventures of Pluto Nash, which was it ruined so many people. Yeah, it ruined a lot of people's careers. Yeah, it's so weird. Like how does this have so, oh my god. Like I'm just like looking at all these people who produced this movie and directed it and just
Well, and
you ever feel sad sometimes when you watch these movies, you go, I love this so much, but I just don't get it. I don't get it.
yeah, I think you're always going to have movies that come out at the wrong time. I do think that this movie has gained a lot of love, and it definitely has a cult following.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you look at, and not to plug my own stuff, but you look at a lot of the stuff I've reviewed, and whether you're talking The Room, Birdemic, whatever, there is that sense of a thing may not have been at the right place at the right time, but people find it. And I do think
Exactly.
that there is a set of people, the folks that are going to appreciate this will find it. It's not meant for it's not meant for an audience. It's not meant for all audiences, I don't think.
Right.
And not dissing on other audiences, but there is definitely, not everyone is going to like, a rom-com. Not everyone is going to like this because it is, at the time at least, it was a weird mix of superhero and comedy, but not to the
Exactly.
goofy level of the Schumacher movies.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's one of those things where it just came out at the wrong time. The one character we actually haven't talked about yet, and has probably the Most amazing name for a supervillain I've ever heard in my entire life is, of course, Geoffrey Rush's character who plays Casanova Frankenstein.
Oh, he's so great. The accent, the
Yeah.
fingernail, it's very much a Joker Batman thing. But when him and Captain Amazing sit down and they're like, "Oh, well, would you please, deactivate your slippers and the cocktail stir in your drink and all that stuff." I mean, those are two guys that know each other, and that's the one thing, for everything that we've seen Joker and Batman do, that's the one thing that I wish we could see with them, like doing that kind of showdown type situation, or like even a chill setting where they're like, "Oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that," and just that part would be amazing to see, because it's such a, they know each other. They don't just they don't just battle, they know.
And it's also pretty funny when you see Greg Kinnear walk into the room where they're doing seeing if Casanova can be let go.
Oh, the parole hearing, yeah. That's amazing.
He walks in and he's like, I think, or Captain Amazing thinks that, Casanova Frankenstein should be let free because he wants to take him down again, because it looks like Captain Amazing is trying to reignite his career that is fledgling or whatever, but
he wants sponsors again is what he wants.
Exactly. But it just, like I said, as we talked about, in this review, there's just a lot of great jokes and one-liners, and you could go through and just pick probably 40, 50, 100, 150, just quotes and points of reference when it comes to what they say that is just absolutely ridiculous and funny at the same time. So
it totally is. And it's such a, like you say, you could pick any one point in this movie and laugh your ass off, because like, even when they're doing the sewing and stuff, they're, everything that the Sphinx tells them that they should do to become better superheroes. Another favorite line is where Mr. Furious is sitting there trying to balance a hammer on his head, and he says, "Why am I balancing a hammer?" And the Sphinx gives him an answer, and he's like, "Why am I wearing watermelon on my feet?" It's like, I didn't tell you to do that.
There's also a funny joke where Ben Stiller, he works at a junkyard or scrapyard or something like that.
Yep.
And he walks in, and his boss is like this old woman who he's like, "Go scrap the vehicle that they end up using at the end." And he just like says, "Don't make me angry," and she just keeps laughing at him, and he just grabs a ball, the ball that you use to
stress relief ball,
keep your stress down, stress ball. And it's so ridiculous. The way he just keeps laughing at him, so like that. Go scrap the thing. And
isn't that the lady from Throw Mama from the Train?
No, it's a different woman. It's
okay. Because even like even when he goes and is even when he's like imitating her, he's like, "No, she always tells me to junk it," and then they find the the Herkimer battle jinty?
Yeah. Which Tom Waits is super excited about.
Oh yeah, he basically
the best non-killing arsenal vehicle I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, and then when they do the knockdown drag out, like trying to get Mr. Furious to be angry, and they're like, you dress in the manner of a male prostitute, and you aren't well liked, and just like that whole bit is just so amazing. God. Well, you know what we didn't even talk about, and I know that we've been going quite a long time, but when they go to kind of assemble their own Justice League kind of set of people, they have all the different heroes, or all the different like superheroes come through. They've got like the Waffler, and they've got Pencilhead and Son of Pencilhead, and they've got the PMS Avenger.
I can only work 4 days a month. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
And like the guy that comes in and he's the dancer, like, he's got the big long cloak ballerina on and pulls it back, and it's a ballerina. Oh God, that's so great.
You know who the Waffler is, right?
Oh yeah, Dane Cook.
Yeah, you know who the Pencilhead guy is?
I feel like I should, but off the top of my head.
Do you know who Doug Jones is?
Oh yeah. He's great. He did he basically is the go-to guy for any kind of skinny like CGI type of being. He was I can't even think of the name.
He's big with Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, for instance, Jeannie Garofalo, she talks to her dad, Skeleton, all the time, and people are just like, the best part is like when they're at the bar and she's like talking to her dad, and Raj, the Blue Raja, is like looking at her like, what the fuck is going on? And then, of course, the Paul Reubens comes over, like trying to hit on her and stuff like that. It's just really, really funny.
Oh, it is. And then she's got the whole psychology thing going on. And she's like, okay, Dad, when they got done fighting, she's like, okay, Dad, I'm going back to grad school. This is our agreement. Oh, one other really fun thing, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the basis of this is, but they were talking about in the trivia how the three main characters are based off the three old men of DC's Justice Society. They've got the Shoveler was the original Flash, the Blue Raja was based on the original Green Lantern, and the Mr. Furious was based on Wildcat, who was like a scrappy, like, boxer type.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really...
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? That whole bar scene, like, I was watching Suicide Squad, like the original one, not the James Gunn one that's upcoming.
Yeah.
But, like, when they were in the bar and trying to do the whole, oh, we've been friends forever, blah, 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 all I could think was how Mystery Men did it first and did it so much better. It's like, we've seen the Suicide Squad done so much better, and it wasn't even Suicide Squad. It was this bunch of weirdos, you know?
I mean, they are like their own Suicide Squad because they don't know if they're going to survive the night, so...
Right, but they just, like, they are just a random group of weirdos, but they just do it so much better. There's actually care there. Like, you can sense that despite everything, they kind of like each other. You know, they look out for each other, and... You know, they raise Invisible Boy up so he can actually do his thing, and they don't look at him, and he turns invisible and saves the damn day, and yeah.
I just like how the Spleen gets shot in the ass, and then he's like, I can't do it. He's like, oh, but you can still use your superpower. Yeah. And then he does the superpower, and then he passes out, and they're like, oh, go check on Spleen. So, yeah, they definitely care. So, but with that said, like I said, this movie score is actually by Stephen Warbeck, who won an Oscar for not Schindler's List, Jesus Christ. Who did the score for did the movie for Shakespeare in Love, which I'm still mad about that winning Best Picture.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. But this movie's also well known for having the All-Star from Smash Mouth, the band's song.
Oh yeah, the only good song they ever came out with.
Yeah, I actually saw them live. It was pretty interesting.
Oh god.
This also has Violent Femmes, which is pretty good. Bee Gees,
nice.
Night Fever. Apparently, Kel Mitchell did a song on the soundtrack called "Who Are Those Mystery Men."
There's only one thing that I need to know.
Oh, that makes sense. I think he actually was a bit of a rapper, because I remember seeing him in there was a show on Nickelodeon called Kenan and Kel. Yeah. And I think before that, both of them were on all that. It was kind of a like SNL for kids or teens.
Right,
back in the 90s.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I know Kenan Thompson's really popular on SNL right now. But,
oh yeah. And he's been on that forever.
Yeah, he's like the longest running cast member on SNL, I guess.
Wow.
But the score is pretty awesome in this movie too. I really love it. But with that said, is there anything that you don't like about this movie? Is there anything that kind of puts you off on this movie at all that you know, because there is a point where the movie does kind of drag a little bit. And then, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Claire Forlani, Ben Stiller stuff, but is there anything that you really didn't like about this movie at all?
You know, for the most part, I can't say that there is. It's one of those movies that, and I guess my view of, you know, what makes a good or bad movie is a little skewed, and it always kind of has been, but there's nothing that I can look at and go, oh my god, this totally destroys it for me. The romance thing, it is what it is. I mean,
yeah.
For the time, it was a prerequisite for a movie to have that, to try and draw in another part of the crowd.
Right.
You know, the fact that only Ben Stiller's girl was, you know, the main reason that they couldn't stop things was a little goofy. But, you know, other than that, I love this movie front to back, top to bottom, and I hope at one point it can get the love that it deserves, because it is something really special.
Yeah, and I think it's gotten its cult classic at this point, so it's definitely got that love. And I'm sure if you went to like a Comic-Con or something like that, at some point you would see you know, Mr. Furious or the Shoveler or anything like that.
Oh hell yeah, I would totally dress up as Blue Raja.
Exactly. Kinka Usher actually was the commercial director for Got Milk and
Oh,
the
wow.
Taco Bell Chihuahua campaigns.
Nice. Yo quiero Mystery Men.
Taco Bell. Yeah, yo quiero Mystery
Yo
Man.
quiero men de mystery. God, that was terrible Spanish. I apologize.
But with that said, we've been talking for quite a while. I expected this. I really excited to talk about this. Thank you so much, Triv, for coming on to talk about Mystery Men.
It was my pleasure.
You were really excited. You were really excited to talk about it as well. But with that said, is there any closing thoughts at all before we actually end the review?
If you have not seen this movie and you would like superhero movies or anything like that, go watch this. It's not hard to find. It's relatively accessible. It's a great movie. The talent behind it is incredible, and it deserves more love than it gets. I guess that would be the only thing I would say, is that it definitely deserves more love. And better late than never.
And I mean, it's a movie that has a lot of heart, has a lot of, early stuff when it comes to superhero movies. It's not a movie that will inject itself into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is a continuing story. But when you have this cast, this director, the cinematographer, the musicians, everybody involved, and they just seem to be one cohesive whole, and everybody's working at 11, as I like to say. It's really something truly special. So, but with that said, Triv, where can everybody find you if they want to see your content, if they want to find you on Twitter, all that good stuff?
You can find me here on YouTube at Trivial Theater, and that's theater spelled E-R, not R-E, because frankly I'm straight up not that fancy. But I do random, obscure, and straight up bad movie reviews with a touch of trivia on the side and couple of personal opinions, but my stuff tends to roll a little crazy, so stop by if you like this kind of stuff, because we do have a lot of fun over there. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm trivia_chick, and that's chick without a K. So stop by, say hi. I'm always up to have a good conversation about movies, and hopefully I remember to blink.
So there you go, guys. That is Trivia Theater's all her content. Definitely check it out, because I'm telling you, it's one of the best channels on the market. Like, it's some of the best videos and stuff I've never heard of before, like killer condoms and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. But with that said, guys, thank you so much. I didn't say in the beginning, but I just want to thank everyone who watches my videos. This is the end of my third year. It was 18. I started in 2018, 19, 20, 21. So this is going to be my fourth year doing this crazy channel that I call Movie Emporium, which is, in the last year has gotten bigger than I ever expected. But, it really is nice to have something like this and have a video to show with somebody that I actually really, truly like as a YouTuber, who can come on and just talk, BS and stuff like that. So it's really cool that I'm still doing this 3 years later, 4 years later, and just, it is what it is. So, but with that said, guys, in the comments below, let me know what you think of Mystery Men. I'm sure many people have seen it by now. It's a movie that, has finally gained a following of some sort. But hit the comments below. What's your favorite character? All that good stuff. But as always, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like any of these videos, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.